very challenging to try and bring it back up for that ending to work well.
You mean sort of if you break the energy of it, you break momentum?
It's fact, yeah.
Yeah. And that will go for a lot of scenes that you do, particularly at your age, right? You think of the types of shows, what we're talking about Stranger Things, Sex Education, Top Boy, blah, blah, blah. Lots of this type of stuff in there. And you will have a lot of directors that might want to get it in one, so you won't chop in and out. And that's exactly what happened. What else? Okay, yeah.
This is like an obvious thing, but it's like there's no shortcuts to anything. Like you actually got to do the work. If you get a script, you can't just be like, okay, just read through it. You got to actually analyze that script, analyze the emotion, what's happened before, what's going to happen now. Like just have an understanding of what's going on in the script. There's no shortcut to like say, oh, let me just read the script and then just say what happens. Do that, that's great, but you're just reading the book at this point. Like,
yeah, there's not really. I mean, if that's what you're doing, and I'm not 100% sure that everybody in the room isn't doing that. You might as well. There's no point me being it. You might as well ask someone at the bus stop, because anyone can give an appraisal on someone reading a piece of paper or saying some words they've remembered. You don't need an expert in the field for that. It's just anyone could go, yeah, I like that, I enjoyed that, or no, it was boring. Because that's kind of all, that is the ceiling you're at, if all you're doing is learning it and just trying to say it. There's no great actor ever walking out ever, from Audrey Hepburn to Marlon Brando to Denzel Washington, that doesn't do a fuck ton of work before they arrive on set. I was talking to Jaden earlier about, you seen Training Day?
Yeah.
Seen that film? Anyone else seen it?
No.
It's worth watching for Denzel Washington because a huge amount of the film he's in a very, very close, tight shot in a car. For I'd say about 40 to 50% of the film.
What's it called again?
Training Day.
Where's my phone? Sorry.
And if you look at him, he looks like he's got loads of room. He looks like he's moving around a lot. He looks like he's really animated. You now know he had tiny amounts of space to move. He just makes it look, because he's got all that work done previously, so he understands why he's saying everything, and it's fucking brilliant. All right, what else? We talked about there's no shortcuts. We talked about if you have a scene like this and you don't know it, they kind of come down to the same thing, right? If you haven't done the work, you're not going to be good. If you haven't done the work, you're not going to get through it without killing momentum. Yeah.
The importance of continuity and how you're walking around in a script. Not in a script, in a scene.
Sure. Continuity is a complete killer for us. You can't, if you don't follow your continuity, we have to edit around you. I don't want to release a film where I look like a sort of amateur bellend who's not organised the scene to look, and the audience just get taken out. Even if they don't say, hang on, that was wrong, something makes them go,
yeah.
It's like bad green screen or something. It just makes the audience just slightly detached from the reality.
Look realistic.
So we need it, yeah.
I think the combination between the level of the blocking and how close you need to be with a person, with your partner on the scene, as well as the level of vulnerability and emotion that you need to show, makes everything like it is so difficult to perfect.
Yeah.
And it gets down to the other points.
That's a really good thing to recognise. In this building, and I don't really see it in any others, there's two, and now maybe it's because something we had this conversation, I didn't consider when I came here. I thought it'd be a bunch of sort of hungry young artists who just haven't got an opportunity elsewhere. I hadn't thought about the ones that were like, I've got to be in education, and that sounds easier than geography. And I hadn't thought of that fucking side of it. But ultimately, and so there's too much of people just sort of getting through and not considering actually how hard it is to be good. And by the way, being good ain't good enough. There's a million fucking people that are good at it. The only way you're going to get anywhere is if you're special. Yeah.
Similar to what has been said, but you need to know your character back and forth. Like you need to know what they had for breakfast that morning. Like I know that's random, but it also helps. Like I think Skylar didn't eat breakfast at all because she was anxious, like too anxious to eat because she was scared about what she's going to ask Will.
Yeah, like, all of those, look, the audience will never know that you've done that work, and they also won't care. And why should they? When I get a plumber around to fix shit, I have no fucking interest in how they did it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about washers, and I can think of fact. I just want to know that the tap runs now. And it's the same thing when someone comes to watch your movie. They don't need to know that, but there will be something you're doing that draws them in if you do that work. Yeah.
make sure you know all the lines.
Good idea. Good idea.
Bare minimum.
Right.
Bare minimum.
Oh, that was a layup. Yes, but that's a year ago. Like at this point, we shouldn't even have to talk about it. You know what I mean? At this point, it depends how good you want to be. If you want to pass a qualification, which frankly at college level, I'm pretty sure ain't that hard. I don't know what you have to do to fail this, set the building on fire. Like, I think getting the qualification isn't that difficult. But if you want to be a sort of special actor that I start talking about, people I know start doing, casting directors start talking about, then that's way down the list. What else?
Oh,
Here you go.
I was gonna say, you need to hit them marks naturally.
Yeah.
Find reason to move, and don't just move. Like everything has to have a reason behind it. But then I realised what that says is basically just what Ricky said.
Well, actually, but it does lead to another point, right? Which is, that then leads to the idea of why should your continuity actually not be that difficult?
Because as Kieran just said, that you should have reason to do that movement.
If you had a reason to do this stuff, or a reason to do it, if you had a reason to do it in the first place, then you shouldn't have to think, this line left hand, this line, you just do it. Because there was a reason you did it when you were in that moment in the first place. You know, and if it's marginally different, if you do that 3 seconds the first time and 2 seconds next time, it's fine. It's just if you completely change it, then we're fucked. Yeah.
Adding on to the like reasons of why we do it and continuity, because like as everyone saw, you know, I use my hands a lot and there's a lot to remember, but there is also reasons to that, because even when I'm in an argument in real life, I do use my hands. Like you see a lot of like,
Sure.
yeah, talking.
Right,
with
so
your
what's
hands.
the antidote to that? Well, there is a sort of craft way of figuring shit out to give yourself an opportunity to not have a nightmare when you first book things. Yeah.
I'd say like with the character, if you can find a reason for the character to be more still of a character.
Well, yeah,
That
kind
would
of.
work.
It's basically the same. There was, for example, I don't know if I told you this, I don't know if you've heard it, a guy that paid us at my place in Carnaby Street to shoot a reel for him. Now, this is not someone I'd worked with, so I don't know where he trained or what he did. But he was absolutely insistent, and he hired us all for the day, and it cost him a lot of money. He wanted to have this argument scene, and he had glasses on. We talked about this. And then, so in the master shot, he's like, fucking nah, and then, shut up, fucking and then back to this hand, put them on, argue, take them off again. Now in the wide, in the master, he was great. Really, really good actor. Here and here. From that moment on, the entire scene was him going, and then and then he just had that momentum thing. He had no momentum the whole way through. And so he's really only got his master shot. And I can't let him go with something he can't cut together, so he had to do it. Now, what could he have done to keep, if you are demonstrative like that, to fix that? Well, he could have said, look, I want my character to fight, I want him to move. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do all that, but I'm going to only take him off once, and I'm going to keep it in one hand. So that way I still get to do the stuff I want to do, but I don't give myself 40 things to remember. You still get the physical. When you're starting out, I would suggest doing that. Don't restrict yourself, but just be smart in terms of craft. And then you can be the sort of, have the physicality you want without losing anything. Right? Fucking hurdler coming.
It's also as well, like, you don't want to like make it more complicated for yourself, because like if you're adding like whole bunches of different movement which you feel like is not needed, it's like you're just making the work.
There are lots of things you're going to do if you get lucky enough that you don't think right now sound hard. Eating, smoking. This shit is a nightmare. Why?
Smoking.
Yeah, not just in life, but yeah, go on.
Because it's fake smoke, so it's going to hurt your lungs even more.
What if it, frankly, with all love and all, no one cares about your lungs. We're talking about why is it difficult for you, the actor, yeah.
Wait, why is it difficult as an actor?
Why is smoking and
Well, I was
food?
going to say for continuity reasons, the length of the cigarette might change because of how fast or slowly you smoke the cigarette.
Correct.
And then if you've got a new cigarette for a different shot, you need to smoke it down to the same length that it was in the previous shot.
Sure do.
But
That's what you're saying.
Also, you've got to remember timing, because like, say when you took a full one, that
Yeah.
was a shot, and then you've got to do the same thing again, and it's the same with eating, you've got to do the same thing each time.
Yeah.
with
It's just our concept. But certain actors, eating, for example, is a fucking ball ache. Because it's got to be at the right time, the right amount, and the right line, and you'll finish at the right end. And if you don't, you've probably seen it where, so you see someone bite into something, it cuts to someone else, and then they're still eating it like 2 minutes later, and that's weird, or they just finish instantly. It's because they've not got the continuity right, and it just throws you out. But once you're good at this, once you're comfortable with it, this stuff will be your friend. For example, the two actors that are most synonymous with it are Brad Pitt and David Jason. As you've seen, Only Fools and Horses.
Oh,
I love that show.
Find me a scene where he's not eating.
Yeah.
He eats through pretty much every scene. And it's a nightmare, but it's really good to have activity. But you can only be comfortable when you know what continuity is and how to follow it. Otherwise, you're going to be going. Smoke.